Good morning. Today I'm going to make a video that's going to make some people annoyed with me. I'm doing a video on a shoe that a lot of people love, that set some world records, that's kind of universally praised as being one of the best shoes, and I hate it. So the shoe I'm talking about today is the Nike Alphafly, and specifically the Alphafly version 1. With the Alphafly version 2, I don't have that one because I hate the regular Alphafly, so I didn't buy the second version. But with the 2, a lot of people think that they kind of made it more accessible, dumbed it down a bit. It lost some of the magic of the original, but for me, I never felt the magic of the original. I had avoided Nike for a while when I first started running, and I eventually got the Vaporfly on sale at a significant discount, and I loved that shoe so much. So after being so impressed with the Vaporfly, I was like, I gotta give the Alphafly a shot if this is supposed to be the bigger, better version of that shoe. And it just never did it for me. I've used it in some other videos, just comparing it to other carbon plate shoes, but in long runs that I've tested it out for, where I was expecting to get great returns and efficiency, it just really didn't do it for me. And the comfort of the shoe is just not there. So why do I hate the Alphafly? There's a couple different reasons. The first one is just the fit of the shoe. I don't know who Nike was thinking of when they came up with this for an arch design. The shoe comes in so narrow at the arch, your entire foot hangs over the side of the shoe. This is just an overpronation nightmare where the shoe just wants to collapse. There's absolutely no support in the arch. My entire foot is hanging over the side. So you have a combination of that really high stack and just the fact that there's no support in the middle of the shoes. Also, when I'm just standing here and walking, it's funny because the drop of the shoe is almost a negative drop. The shoe kind of sits back on the heel rather than being towards the front. So it seems almost imbalanced, that it wants to squish into the heel and it's hard to keep it to the front. Something else that I think really factors in is my height and weight. I'm 6'4", I'm 230 pounds. I know Eliud Kipchoge broke the 2-hour marathon in these shoes, but he's a superhuman person, and he's about 5'5", 5'6", 115 pounds. So I'm literally double his weight. So I know Nike always writes on their shoes, engineered to the exact specifications of championship athletes. Apparently I'm not one of those, but if these are, AirPods are rated for 115 pounds to make that person super efficient, they just don't do that for me. Being double his weight, I feel like I compress these AirPods way too much. They actually slow down my cadence, and I don't think I'm getting the energy return from them that I'm supposed to. And I think a lot of that has to do with my size. These shoes were also $275 when they first came out, which was the most expensive running shoe out there at the time. Now there are some shoes over $300, but this is still one of the most expensive shoes. And what I'm getting for it relative to the price, it's just not worth it at all. I also didn't pay for full price for these. I almost never pay full price for a shoe, but I've never been able to get the performance out of these to justify that price tag. And with these shoes having such a massive stack, weight is also a problem for me. These are not a heavy shoe, but they're heavy for a racing shoe. I believe in my size, they're about 10 ounces, maybe like 9.9 ounces. I'll double check that when I get back. But pretty much every racing shoe I have is lighter than these. So again, under 10 ounces in a size 12.5 is not a heavy shoe, but I have some shoes in the 8s or close to 8. So it's 2 ounces heavier, and over the course of a marathon distance, that's going to make a big difference. But also with this shoe, I could never take it for a marathon just because of how unstable it is and how uncomfortable it makes me feel when I'm running in it over longer miles. I forgot to mention another reason I dislike them, just the way they look. This is just a goofy looking shoe. If you saw somebody wearing these other than at the start line of a race, you'd be like, what the heck are you wearing? What are those things? So somebody might like the styling of these, but I do not. Again, you got that big bulbous heel sticking out, the AirPods in the front. I actually think this is one of the nicer colorways that this shoe comes in, but it's just a stupid looking shoe. Today I'm doing a cruise interval run. So I'm gonna do a warm up and then get into some kind of shorter intervals at higher speed and then a cool down. So I'm gonna go through the full run of paces in this shoe again. I have to double check how many miles I have on these. I think it might be around like 70 miles because I really just don't want to choose this shoe for anything. I'm not going to choose it for racing. I'm not going to choose it for training. I'm not going to choose it for tempo sessions because it's too heavy. I have shoes that are lighter that I can run faster in. So it's just in this weird spot of being a super expensive, super popular shoe that I hate. So come at me, Nike fanboys. I'm gonna get into this run now and see how it goes. That was a new one. I was just running along a fast strip of road here and heard a dog barking at me coming up incredibly fast. And I was like, oh crap, these Alphaflys might actually have to be faster than I think they are to save my life here. But it was barking at me out the window of a passing car. So now I'm being harassed by dogs that are moving in vehicles. So it's not enough that I'm getting chased by Canadian geese and dogs outside people's homes and lawn sprinklers to contend with. Now I have mobile dogs looking to get me. So just finished a 25-minute warm-up in these shoes. Now, I'm not just gonna say that the Alphafly is a straight garbage shoe. It's not. It's been on a lot of podiums, and that's for a reason. This shoe gives you a lot of efficiency. All that Zoom X foam, the carbon plate, the AirPods help you to run faster with less effort. It definitely does that even for me. But my problem, again, I think because of my weight, I just sink into those AirPods too much. To me, running in this shoe feels like I'm stepping into like a muddy puddle. Every step I take, the shoe squishes in and I feel like I gotta pull my foot out of the mud. So taking that effort to kind of pull the shoe back up reduces my cadence, makes it harder for me to run fast in these. So these did help with efficiency on that warm-up. I was averaging right around an 8-minute mile. I normally would do about an 8:30, so they did make me a little bit faster on my warm-up. But also the cadence I was going was, I think, about 162, 163 steps per minute. It's harder for me to get these moving any faster than that because of that muddy sinking sensation. These struggle for me to do race paces, which is really what this $275 race shoe is designed for. Now, I didn't charge my camera today, so this may die any second here, so this may be my last report from the run. But now I'm gonna get into the speedy part of this run, do a cool down, and then I'll report back on the findings when I get back home. Listen to the new sound that these are making. I don't know if it's the AirPods crying out for help under my weight here. So a day is a day where it's important to remember that people's opinions are subjective, and exactly that, an opinion. My opinions about this shoe might not match yours. This might be your favorite shoe. You might have your personal best in this shoe and it's the greatest thing you've ever used. For me, it's just not. So I'm sure there's people on my side of the fence and people on the other side of the fence as well. Feel free to tell me in your comments if you think the Alphafly is fantastic and you absolutely love it, because if it works for you, that's great, but it doesn't work for me. We're allowed to disagree about which running shoes we like and not attack each other. I think my big problem with this shoe is I was expecting it to be kind of like a bigger, bouncier, more cushioned version of the Vaporfly, and it just doesn't work like that for me. The Vaporfly I've run my 5K and 10K personal bests in. I feel that spring from the plate in the shoe. It squishes in, but not too much. It's very responsive, and it feels more natural in my stride because it doesn't have those air pods. I think I'm just allergic to air pods. These just don't work for me. So it may be my size, it may be my foot strike, but whatever it is, these I'm just not able to get the same kind of paces out of that I am from the Vaporfly. This to me feels like a very fast shoe, and this just kind of bogs me down. I feel like I'm going into that muddy puddle and kind of having to pull my foot up. So the air pods are compressing too much. It's actually slowing down my gait. Race shoes are also not known for their durability, but from a $275 shoe, I would hope it to do a little bit better than this one is doing at this moment. I've got 70 miles on this shoe. There's some creasing in the Zoom X. That pretty much always happens with this type of shoe. But I also have here in the heel where the Zoom X foam is starting to kind of tear and rip off. I have some wear on the rubber on the back on the outside here, and then the rubber on the front is starting to get pretty frayed as well where it's wearing. So there's a pretty thick rubber application on the front here, so that's I'm not really worried about. It's showing more wear than the Vaporfly does with a similar amount of mileage on it. I'll go over some of the statistics of the run that I just did. So I ended up going just over 9 miles, averaged 8:32 pace for the full run. This was actually a cruise interval run where I had a 25-minute warm-up. The shoe actually performed pretty well during the warm-up. I covered just over 3 miles in 8:09 pace average. Usually my easy pace is closer to 8:30, so I was able to run a little bit faster at a low heart rate in these shoes. So that's what they're supposed to do, give you that efficiency. So at the lower speed, they do give me that efficiency. But again, this is not a low-speed cruiser. This is supposed to be your record marathon shoe, which it is just not for me. During the speedier parts of the run, I was able to get this up to 5:29 pace. That was the fastest I was able to do. But then the actual distance that I was running in each of those, it dropped back down to closer to about 7:30, even to 8 minutes was what I was able to do in those intervals. So I was running intervals of 0.62 miles, and you can see on the chart here, did 7:23, 7:54, 8 minute, 7:45, 7:49, 8:06, 7:57, 7:30. So my average was actually 7:48 was what I was able to do for those 0.62 mile reps. So significantly slower than my best paces that I'm capable of running. I was just looking at some of the older runs that I did in this shoe as well. And I did a half marathon back in May of 2022. This was like maybe 2 months after I got this shoe. I just wanted to test it out, see how fast I could run a half marathon. At that time, I was hoping to break an hour 30 because I had done that previously. Ended up running it in 1:39.52 with the 7:34 average pace. So started out in the 7s, kind of ticked up in the middle, and then went slower at the end. So I was expecting these to give me, the best performance possible for that half marathon, and it just didn't work. And that's kind of been the story of the shoe for me ever since then. So to this day, I'm still kind of looking for what's the best marathon shoe for me. So far, the leader in the clubhouse is the Adidas Adios Pro 3. I ran the New York City Marathon in this shoe last year, and to me it has closer to that Vaporfly feeling. It doesn't have the air pods. Light Strike Pro is a foam that's a little bit firmer, so it's more responsive, but I don't sink into it too much, so it's not as unstable. This also has a decently wide heel and also a very wide forefoot, so I found that this worked really well for me over the marathon distance. I recently picked up the Hoka Rocket X2. I used this for the Brooklyn Half Marathon that I ran recently, and I've been using it in some of my races over the summer run series. This shoe to me, though, I don't think I would take for more than a half marathon because of how soft the foam is. This is Hoka's first use of PEBA-based foam in any of their shoes, and it's much, much softer than what you're used to in a Hoka shoe. Over the Brooklyn Half, I didn't really have any issues, but I took these for a 5-mile race the other day and was starting to get some pain in my heel, which sometimes happens to me when I sink into the foam a little bit too much. They just didn't feel fantastic to me over that 5-mile race. When I sprinted to the finish line, they felt awesome. So I think these actually skew more toward 5K or a 10K shoe for me, but I don't think that they're just a little bit too soft for me to use them for a marathon. So let me know in the comments how you feel about the Alphafly and what you think is the best marathon racing shoe. What's worked the best for you? Maybe which shoe you have your personal best in. Two other things I wanted to touch on today. You might have noticed I'm wearing a fire department shirt. In addition to my normal job, I am a volunteer firefighter at the Hauppauge Fire Department on Long Island, New York. We actually have a 5K run coming up on October 7th at 9 a.m. I'm actually the race director, so this will be the first time I'll be running in a race, but also putting it on. They were looking for ways to fundraise, and I suggested a race, and then that put me in charge of it. So now I'm trying to get people to sign up for the race and sponsor as well. So I'll put a link in the video description to the race website, which is through Elite Feats. So if you're in the New York area and you're looking for a race to run, we're running a 5K race. Or if you'd like to sponsor our race or know someone who might be a good sponsor, feel free to reach out to me as well. Before I had made this video, I actually reached out to another running YouTuber, the MidLife runner, and he had said how much he liked the Alphafly, and I had said how much I disliked it. We talked about maybe making a video together, going back and forth. Now, if you haven't seen his channel, I'll put his information in the description. He tends to talk to another version of himself. He ran a marathon as Forrest Gump, but unlike me, he has a Boston qualifying time right now. So I'm going to try and get that so I can catch up to him in that respect. But if you want to check out his channel, he has some good reviews as well. And we'll see if he maybe does a retort to me here, makes a video about why he likes the Alphafly. Because remember, it's just an opinion. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.